Well, this weekend, families were able to travel back 60 million years when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and that's because Robstown was taken over by the Jurassic Tour, a traveling exhibit. Our Marissa Cummings shares the immersive prehistoric experience.
Inside the fairgrounds, it looked like it had been transformed to resemble a scene from Jurassic Park.
Come on, we gotta get out of here. Gotta get out of here.
The only thing that matters now are the people we love.
Which is just a delay.
And that was no easy task.
It normally takes us about 2 to 3 days, depending on the facility in the area.
That included installing animatronic dinosaurs, making the exhibit more immersive.
Roaring, breathing, the movement, and then we also have activities for kids as well.
Things like bounce houses, dinosaur rides, and sandboxes filled with fossils. Richard Martin and his family said they loved it.
The dinosaur attractions, the dinosaur rides, they're having a blast with everything.
And little Zachary Rodriguez shared the same sentiment.
I like all the dinosaurs.
He was able to be amazed by the life-size Jurassic replicas and learn more about them along the way. While there is 700 different dinosaur species, Zachary named his favorite.
T-Rex, Raptor, Spinosaurus, Stegosaurus.
And the rest of Zachary's siblings agreed, but had their own reasons as to why.
Because it has spikes.
It's played in my favorite movies.
The Jurassic Tour concluded at 7 p.m. on Sunday, and their next stop is Longview, Texas. Marissa Cummings, 3 News.